Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is March the 20th, 2021, and today the topic is let's talk about hell. Then, y'all, I'm telling you, man, as my mama would say, it's one thing after another. I had a pretty interesting day yesterday. I won't go too deep into it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything bad on my end. All was well for me. There was a lot of blessings yesterday, and there just was a lot of, I would say like revelations, as well for me yesterday. I just thank and praise God for being in the position that I'm in, and okay. Well, I'm hesitant to share because this is someone's personal business. But those of you guys that know the words of prayer, without me going into like detail, if you guys would like to help me pray, then please keep my he's like the editor / right hand man with most things technical when it comes to God, Sex, and Love, Mr. Usama. I've shouted him out before. A gentleman that I met through Fiverr. We were kind of chit-chatting yesterday, and he shared some things that's going on in his personal life with me, and and asked for prayer. And so if you all want to pray alongside me, I was praying, and then I also asked my mother to pray as well. And so that was a special emotional moment, even though she's on the phone, and I had my son with us, and with us in that moment, and I'm holding my son's hand. It was a beautiful moment, but it was very emotional for me as well, if I'm honest, because like I said, I just know for me all of this stuff is just confirmation. It's like there's no way I would have met this gentleman if I had not stepped out on faith and did the things that God had asked me to do. And so for him to trust me enough to ask for prayer is a blessing to me, and so it meant a lot to me, and I shared with him that it meant a lot to me, but obviously it still does. So yes, if you guys would like to pray along with me for him and his family, please by all means do. And I know there's some other individuals. I know my mom ended up praying for some people in our family as well as we were praying. And I know that another friend of mine, they have some things going on. She has some things going on in her family, and everything like that. So let's just keep, just stay praying, y'all. Just stay praying. Well, with that being said, also, if you guys want to keep on with the prayer train, Allie and her family, they seem to be going through it at this very moment. They are live right now. As I'm recording here at 5:30 something in the morning, they are live on their pages because they've expressed. Now, I haven't necessarily, when I tuned in this morning, it was kind of like they were trying to point their cameras to keep an eye out on their surroundings. I kind of got bits and pieces of what's going on. It seems like there were some things, supernatural things, everything like that going on. And so they're, trying to keep the cameras on and everything like that. So, and they are still live at this moment right now as I went live. But like I said to you guys, when I come in the mornings and do my thing, like I had to continue, I had to go with my routine and stuff. So I may not be up to date at the moment of what's exactly going on. But again, keeping the prayers open for them, for their safety, as well as for, their peace of mind and everything that they have going on. And, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to have no message for y'all if I was just sitting there watching them. So I had to, go ahead and pray and go ahead and, be led by God in this moment to be here in this moment with you all now. So here I am, y'all. And y'all, the topic is let's talk about hell. Then I'm sure there's a that probably contributed to the topic, knowing that they are going through things and this whole supernatural aspect that is honestly, like, I don't know, I can't speak on too much, like, because the supernatural things that I've encountered, I would say was been more so, people speaking into my life, or how can I say, like, or just acknowledging the blessings that are happening in my life. Like yesterday, like I said, yesterday was just a complete blessing for me, just on different levels, and so that type of thing is like what I've observed in regards to supernatural experiences. However, there's other people that experience other things, and they can give their testimonies to that. And I do believe that, there is, other realms. I believe that, there is, spiritual side of things that we can't necessarily see all the time. Like sometimes people are able to see, but, it's deep, right? It goes deep. So, but as you guys know, there are people that go hard for that side. There's people that go hard for the devil. There's people that go hard for living a life that is centered around that side of life, right? So with that being said, I think, after my prayer and meditation, what had happened is that the song, y'all know what, I've been listening to Untitled Fish, for the past few months now, or whatever the case is. Like, he's like my go-to artist. I'll listen to some instrumentals and stuff like that every now and then. And, but for the most part, I've been just pretty much jamming out to that Untitled Fish. So shout out to him, for stepping out and doing what God asked of him to do, because it has blessed me to be able to listen to him and his music. But anyway, his song, and I was going to look up the name of the song just to get it right, but it might be Destroy Hell, something like that. I would just say, as soon as I finished praying and meditating this morning, that song was like just in my mind, right? And again, that may not be the name, but it's the verses and the choruses, says something along the lines of destroying hell with your life. So I don't know if the name of the song is Destroy Hell, but Untitled Fish, something like Destroy Hell. And that song was like in my mind this morning after I finished praying. So I looked up verses centered around destroying hell, and obviously there was a lot of things that was, brought up in regards to hell itself and everything like that, and verses centered around that. And then as I was looking up those verses, eventually workers of iniquity, that phrase came into my mind, and so I looked up verses regarding that. And so here we are. Let's talk about hell then. So the definition of hell, obviously, so when I looked it up, it was interesting that I found that it was, it's lengthy compared to definitions that are like a couple of words. So here we go. Here's the definition. It says, a place regarded in various religions as a spiritual realm of evil and suffering, often traditionally depicted as a place of perpetual fire beneath the earth, where the wicked are punished after death. So that is what, if you go and Google hell as the definition, that is what you'll see in regards to the place. And then of course you have the expletive definition as well, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the place. So now, you can believe or not believe that this place exists, right? However, if I recall correctly about science, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly, now even if we want to doubt that there's spiritual places X, Y, and Z, I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that there's places that are made of fire. Because, I mean, we say the sun is made of like fire and gaseous things, right? So that's one. But then also, if I remember correctly, in science, they say if you go all the way down into the earth, there's something called the what, y'all? The core. And what they say down there? Fire. Now, I don't know if that's the place. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that science say that when you dig down deeper to the earth, there's a core, and that is a fiery place. And it says here, even in the definition, that, you know, this beneath the earth, you know, a place of perpetual fire. So I don't know. I'm not saying I know that, yes, the core of the earth is the actual hell. I have no clue about that. All I'm saying is it can't be that far-fetched to think that there's a place like this. Now, I know we like it's okay. So there's so many things to say. That's what I'm just like. What do you want me to say, Lord? Okay. Okay. So I mean, obviously, I have a lot of verses for you all in Bible. This is not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. This is terrible, actually. You know, I think it's just the aspect of like, you either got hardcore people that go hard for evil, go hard for Satan, go hard for all of that, right? So it's like, all right, you either got that, or you got the people that's be like, oh, there's none of that at all, right? But then sometimes those two groups are the same. Why am I laughing? I'm sorry, Lord. I don't know why you have me laughing. But sometimes those two groups are the same. So they both believe that, but they don't want to believe in God or this or the other side. It's I guess it's baffling. Maybe that's why I'm laughing, because it's just baffling to think that people try to justify their wicked actions. But I mean, hey, this is where we are, y'all. So let's talk about hell then. Why am I? Okay. Let me go on. Let me do this thing here. Okay, Revelations 20:10. It says, "And the devil, who have deceived them, was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever." So, okay, so y'all know the number one question when it comes to humanity and hell. They be like, oh, why would a loving God want to put people in hell? It's already been established that hell was not created for humanity, right? That's even in the Bible. That's going to come up later on, one of the verses that I'm going to share with you all today. And that's the other thing too that's kind of interesting, that again, people go so hard for the evil side of life, right? But it's like, if there's documentation here, which is what the Bible is, right? It's documentation of what is to happen to this entity that you all want to worship, then why would you be on this side? Like, why would you? This is what's going to happen to the devil, right? So why would you want to be on that side? But hey, there's people that straight up, like I said, Allie and their family right now obviously are, trying to protect themselves from individuals that are really caught up into this stuff, to the point where they do so much evil to others. You're doing so much evil to other people as well. But I mean, that's just something to think about. So, speaking of you all, here we go. Revelations 21:8. It says, "But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for the murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. So there goes your leader, and then there goes you. I truly hope that I'm not talking to nobody that thinks like this. But, I hope I'm talking to believers. But, I mean, you never know. But I'm just saying, that's what it says about those individuals. So, I wouldn't play around with this stuff if I was you. And even with me, I'm sitting here writing these verses down. I'm like, Lord, please make sure I'm on. Like, please, Lord, like, by all means, I will, make sure I am on, as they say, the right side of history, or in his story. Please, Lord Jesus, I pray that I'm on the right side, because like I said, 'cause I ain't perfect by no means. Now I'm a human too, so it's like, you just gotta be, I don't know, prayed up out here every day. Like, Lord, like, am I making sure that I'm not doing your will in this season and in my life and everything like that? Because it's that right there. But some people go hard for that. Some people is cool with that. They joke about that. But I don't know. Anyway, 2 Thessalonians 1:9 says, they will suffer the punishment of eternal destruction away from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his might. Now obviously the fire and sulfur and all that sounds terrible, right? But I guess the worst thing of the situation is being away from the presence of God, which that's the thing that we go through life, or there's some of us that go through life and don't want nothing to do with God, and so then you'll be put into this place where you will have nothing to do with God. I shared with you guys a conversation that my husband and I had a few months ago, or whenever it was, and going back and forth, debating, as I've told you guys repeatedly, I don't like to do, but it was just like, come on, babe, like, I understand you want to believe that some, people, his, not say argument, but his point of view was that basically somebody had did some type of video online, and they was talking about how, I guess, that there was different types of, like, I guess the person had died, and then God had sent them away from them, or away from him, or whatever. The person in the story, whatever we were listening to on YouTube, whatever the story, whatever it was, and in it was saying something along the lines of, like, whatever people believe, that's where they went, right? But what I was trying to, and my husband was saying, like, that's in his mind, he thinks like that would make sense to him in regards to, whatever people believe, that's what happens to you when you die. But I'm like, well, that sounds like a good thought, right? That sounds like a good thought. Like, yeah, whatever people believe, that's what happens to them. But that's not biblical. So, you know what I mean? I guess my whole thing is just like, we got to be careful with that, because it's like, even if it does seem good or something like that, or seem like hey, that's a good idea, perhaps that's what happens, but that's not, that's not biblical, that's not what it says. So again, we got to just be careful with that and what we put out. But hey, I guess we'll see, right? No, none of us don't know until we get to that point. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's see. Matthew 25:41 says, then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So again, I shared with you guys earlier that, that wasn't necessarily his plan for us. And speaking of that, I'll get into a little bit about his plan for us in some later verses, but that wasn't his will or plan for us to experienced that. That was a place for the devil and his angels. Now, again, if we want to go through life and be like, oh, we don't want nothing to do with God our whole life, and then, expect when we die for that not to be some type of consequences to that choice and action, then, I don't know what to... I done told you guys already how I feel about consequences and choices and stuff like that, and cause and effect and all that stuff. So I won't go on and about that, but just saying, y'all, that it wasn't created for us. That's not his will for us. That's not what he wants for us. So keep that in your mind. Anytime somebody want to bring up, oh, well, why God? Then I'll be like, why did you make that choice? Or why are you making that choice? And do you not expect for there to be some consequences to your actions? Because there's consequences to all actions. Not just the spiritual stuff, but like physical, But hey, you gotta, I guess, think that way or get that type of understanding to understand. But anyway, Daniel 12:2 says, and many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Man, it's like, Lord, either way, Lord, just let me be on your side, Lord. I know that's my prayer. I don't know what you guys are praying today, but that's something to think about. Matthew 7, 21 through 23 says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then will I declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Man, I think the thing that stood out to me the most in that section there is the part that says the kingdom, let me see, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So, yeah, man, obviously I think majority of us, when we do, those of us that do think about this place, right, we don't want to go there, right? That's why a lot of us believe that we're Christians. That's why a lot of us say that we're Christians. However, I guess then we got to go deeper and be like, okay, am I doing God's will? Am I in the will of God? Because, there can be, as this says, people that feel as if they are working for the Lord or whatever the case is, and then, God would say, I never knew you. Perhaps you're doing it for your own selfish gain. Perhaps you're doing it for some other reason, or perhaps you just weren't walking in His will. Whatever it is, y'all. I don't know. Like I said, that's what I'm like, Lord. Like, wait a minute, because this right here, man, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot to just marinate on today. So I hope that you guys are thinking about all this, because I am. I sure am. Anyway, Psalm 7:11 says, God is a righteous judge and a judge who feels I don't want to say the word right, excuse me. Indignation. Man, I should not have written in cursive. But so I apologize for that. I will spell it out. Indignation. Okay. Every day. So indignation every day. Obviously indignation is not a word that I use in my regular vocabulary, so I had to look it up. Because that verse stood out to me. As I was looking through the verses, it stood out to me. And I'm like, I don't know what indignation means. I'm being honest with you guys. At least I'm open and honest that I'm human here. So when I looked it up, it says anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. So, not to say I told you so, husband, but I think that verse right there kind of not say prove what I was saying to him, right? But something like that, because he was struggling with this idea of that God being upset with about the choices that we make and stuff like that, because he's like, oh, he already knows, so why would he be upset? The thing is, it's not, and what I kept trying to tell him that night is that it's not, in my humble opinion now, it's not that it doesn't take away from that he knows what we're going to do. That doesn't take anything away from anything. It's all about us and our choices. Because again, that place, was not created for us. That was not his will for us. His will was, it has a lot of, the Bible has a lot of descriptions of what his plan and purpose is for us. But it's like, like I said, he has a plan for us. A plan for us to prosper and all these things, right? And so if we decide against that, then I would say that anybody would be disappointed in that. Like, and I tried to give as many examples as I could think of that night, and he still just didn't seem to understand. But at the end of the day, too, it's like hearing this verse right here, and seeing that indignation is anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. And it says here, this verse literally says, and a God who feels this indignation every day. Said a God who feels it every day. So, I don't know. It's just something to think about when it comes to, this idea of people feeling like, oh, well, God is just, he's just, full of wrath. He just wants to, blah, 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 blah. All the things that they try to say. From what I'm seeing here, God has done everything to help us. And all we have to do is believe and accept the gift. And if you can't do that, then I don't know. Well, obviously there's plenty that the word and the Bible says about you, but me personally, it's like I don't know what else to tell anyone to help them understand. Perhaps they're just I hate to be like one of those people in the verses as it describes that a shield or something like that is just over your eye, you just don't see. And not say you're not going to see, but it's going to take prayer and some humbling on our individual parts to see, I believe. But anyway, 1 John 3:9 says, no one born of God makes a practice of sinning, for God's seed abides in him and cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. Again, y'all, yeah, just something to think about. Just something to think about right there. Psalms 92:7 says that though the wicked sprout like grass and all evildoers flourish, they are doomed to destruction forever. So again, why anybody would choose to be on that side, I have no clue. And you look around and it looks like evil is winning on every hand, especially right now. But in the end, we know who wins, and so that's one thing. And yeah, man, it's just, hey, these are just things to keep in mind. Obviously, you guys can go deeper about this subject. There's plenty of verses in the Go Deeper section for you all to peruse whenever you get a chance, if you so desire to just, hopefully some of it will encourage you to, choose ye this day who you gonna serve and everything like that. But let's get into the Bible verse of the day. That's Ephesians 2:10. It says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, or into good works which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Y'all, that's that's the Bible verse of today, y'all. And I feel like that's just confirmation of like what God and his will is for us. Like, this is what he had planned. He has things, ordained for that we should walk in them. However, if we choose not to walk in them, then, the alternative of what we've been speaking about today is your faith. So, that is a little bit negative to end on, y'all, but I don't know. I was about to say, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Oh, Lord help me. Lord help us. Like, honestly, yeah, when I read that verse, Psalm 7:11, when I read that, I was like, Lord help us. Lord help us. And he did. So hopefully, knowing that, knowing Jesus, knowing what he did on the cross, and the way that was made for us, we can thank and praise God for. So I guess that's a good note to leave you all on. I won't leave you all on that pulp I just gave you guys. I'll leave you guys on some good, nice, fresh juice, knowing that, God has done everything to make a way for us. And so let us be thankful and everything like that. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all on Monday, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. If you like what you hear, then consider supporting our podcast. Every listener that supports us for $9.99 a month will be entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win a free gift. So become a supporter today.